Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fanzone Debate. I am your host tonight, Tim Brzakala. I'm very excited about this matchup because we got Tyler Burch taking on Robert Castner as part of this little title picture we have going on here. Last we saw Tyler Burch, he fought Andrew Barr in a pretty dominant win. It was kind of a new look for Tyler, coming out swinging, taking on Barr and winning really strong. Great match. Last time we saw Robert, it has been a second since we've seen Robert. I don't think we've seen him this season. The last time we saw him would have been last season when he played Nazario, I believe. So it's been a while since we've seen Robert. Wonder if that will have a little bit of rust, but I don't think so. Robert's a pretty good debater. He's always found ways to win in this league. I believe he's made it to a number one contender match. I want to say against Cody. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that was that match. So I think this is a good matchup. I got Mark and Cody here to judge this one with me. Let's start with Mark. Mark, how are you doing, my friend? And what do you think of this matchup?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, this should be interesting. I don't believe I was here when Tyler played this season, so it's been a while since I've seen either of them play. Um, I kind of was curious to see how Tyler would build up. It does sound like he had kind of bounced back early off the season against Barr. It'd be fun to watch him today. And Robert, I thought was kind of a neat up and comer from last year. So yeah, I think this should be a good one.
Yeah, Cody, you are here as well. How are you doing, my friend? And what do you think of this one?
Well, depression is real. I do get to judge, but depression is real. They are going for a belt that used to be mine, so that's fun. But overall, I'm having a grand old time. I am throwing myself into judging because Tim says you can't play till next year. So, but this is going to be interesting. Robert, I played. Probably my angriest I've ever been on losing a question was a road trip question. I was just very confident in it. The just was wrong. Judges were wrong. I'm never wrong. And then Tyler against Barr, I thought was on paper like I think Barr like should be better in this league than he is, but like something just stops him from debating like for the full 5 minutes. I don't know. But Tyler was able to take like full advantage of every opportunity that Barr left him. And Tyler showed a different like thing. Maybe like us in fandom telling him to be more confident is like coming over into fan zone too, where he's just like attacking and being able to form his arguments. So should be interesting. I think both of them are deserving to go try for the belt, especially. And against Jack or Alex, I'll just tip my hat. That should be a fun match. I can't wait to be on the desk for that one. But
is it you two on the desk for that? I believe.
Again? I know I am. I'm in purgatory.
We're shooting that later this week, I think. That'll be a grand old time.
I lost the belt and I got punished real bad. But yeah, this should be a lot of fun. I can't wait for this.
All right, well, let's bring in the players. We'll start by talking to Mr. Burch. I think Cody might be on the money here. I think his assessment of he's worked with you a lot in fandom with Brittany to be more confident in yourself, and that's paid off in fandom. Is that bleeding over into Fanzone Debate? Did that get you your win last time, or are you just the next Fanzone Debate champion?
I think it definitely bleeds over. Just trying to be more confident. It's kind of more of a, what do I got to lose? It's like the match is going to go the way the match is going to go. So I might as well just do everything that I can. I'd rather do that than just sit around and be like, So I think that's just the kind of attitude I've been trying to have more.
Absolutely, Tyler. I love it.
Fuck it, we ball. Some would say.
As some would say, fuck it, we ball. I don't like to say it. Well, actually, that's not true. If Javi said it, I'm okay with it. If Holtzman said it, maybe not. Let's bring in Robert. Robert, you are the high ranked player today. Was I right? Nazario, that was your last match?
Yeah, that was a hate that match. Speed round. I had at least two people come like, how did you lose that speed round? I'm like, ask the judges. I don't know.
The speed round is a fickle beast, my friend. Yeah. But Robert, you are here today to play Tyler. I'm looking forward to this. I think you have a really good shot here today. And I think you and Tyler are pretty even competitors when it comes to knowledge. It's going to come down to your debate styles and who can kind of get the upper hand in the fight. What do you think about the matchup?
Yeah, it was intimated at the end of the match that we're fairly even and we're kind of carbon copies of each other. I would say I'm a little louder than Tyler and maybe a little more self-deprecating. I don't know. But those can mix and they can be combustible, or they can be a wet fart. I don't know. I've done that too, so it could go either way. I have only lost to like people who've been champions or competed for championships, so
That's true. I didn't think about that, but that is absolutely true. So, all right, guys, we're going to kick it off. This is how it's going to work. So the players drafted categories. We gave them questions based on the categories they drafted. They're going to debate those questions tonight before our very souls. So they will each get 1 minute to open their argument, followed by a 5-minute freeform, followed by a 1-minute closing at the end of the debate. Cody, Mark, and I will write on our handy dandy boards who we thought won the point. Oh, Mark doesn't have it. God damn it, Mark. Who we thought won the point. 2 out of 3 votes wins you a point, and the first person to 3 points will win the match. Gentlemen, any questions as we get into the first question?
Nope.
No. I hope I don't cough all over everybody. Electronic.
You good. All right, let's do it. All right, we are going to kick this one off with the first category. This was drafted by Mr. Castner in the category of directors. The question is, what is the best performance in an Anton Fuqua film or movie, depending on if you're Joe Farrelly or me. So, guys, Robert, because you drafted this, you're going to kick this one off. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking. I will come in to give you a 10-second warning when the time comes.
Awesome. So I think when you think about best performances, I think in questions like this, there's a right answer, there's an easy answer, and if you're lucky, you can string it together with 2. And I think Tyler's going to give you what the easy answer is, but I think I have the right answer. The best performance in an Antoine Fuqua movie is Ethan Hawke in Training Day. And the reason I believe that is not only because of the accolades, nominated for an Oscar, looked over, but really his performance was the most impactful as a supporting actor that year. But it's how he plays off his counterpart and how he makes a niche for himself in this type of vehicle when he doesn't get the meteor role. He has the straight man role, but he has that position that we grab onto as the human person. He's the voyeur for us in the story. We identify with him because we're not used to this world, and he makes it seem so seamless for us to enter it that I don't think there's any other considerate choice for this.
Okay. We are going to bring in Mr. Burch. Tyler, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
The crazy thing about easy answers is usually it's because they're the right answers. I know he went with Jake Hoyt from Training Day. I went for the Oscar-winning performance of Alonzo Harris by Denzel Washington in Training Day. The reason why I chose it is because he dominates that film. It's as soon as he calls Jake on the phone, he's running him. He's got everything just dancing on the palm of his hand throughout the entire time. He's in control. He's doing whatever he wants. The only reason why Jake gets to do anything is just because by chance. I mean, if we're going to be honest with you. So I'd rather choose the person that, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how they're going to make their man break. They're going to, at the end of the day, know exactly how it's going to go down. Somebody who, even when everything went against him, he still thought that it was the palm of his hand. Even when the neighborhood betrayed him, and he still thought till the end, this was fine. I still have it under control.
Time. Okay. I think we can all admit, good fucking movie. 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking. I will come in to give you a 10-second warning at the end, but I'll also throw up the 1-minute warning when that time comes. I will throw up a let's move on if I feel like a point is not really working out for me. And if you aren't shutting the fuck up and letting your opponent talk, I throw up the let your opponent talk. Don't make me do that. Nick Twohig may be on vacation, but I can still sick him and send him to your house. So 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
All right, Tyler. Yes, he brought up the Oscar win. Wonderful. He's doing his most memification version of what Denzel does, but he got to be a villain. But that's a makeup Oscar for not winning as Malcolm X in 1992. Went to Pacino for Son of a Woman, who got a makeup Oscar for not winning in the 70s. I think that's null and void. Ethan Hawke got nominated for an Oscar. He lost to freaking Jim Broadbent and Iris. When's the last time you had an Iris conversation? Nobody cares. They remember Jake Hoyt because he, like I said, is the entry point for us into this world we have no clue of. And Denzel's awesome. I'm not going to say he's not awesome, but he's cartoony. He's a godlike form in this situation because we're looking at it through Jake's eyes. And that's how he sees him. He, at the first we get to the part of the movie, like, he's like, I'll do anything that you ask me to. And that's how we're supposed to treat him. And he Denzels it up as he's done through, I mean, he's just being Denzel. They just give him the Oscar because it's a makeup.
See, I disagree. Denzel, he controls the entire performance. He controls Jake Hoyt. That's his big thing, is control right from the beginning. Like I said, with that no nonsense call. You're with Jake. I mean, for most of the movie, if he was a spice, he'd be flour. There wasn't anything going on there. He saved somebody, and because of random chance, that helped him out in the end. There's not really a whole lot. I was trying to find things that he did. I mean, I even was trying to write a list of things that he did, and there was barely anything. With Denzel, there's so many different things. To catch a wolf takes a wolf. When every single thing that he does to get Jake Hoyt to fall into his clutches, that web that he weaves with the dude doing the drugs, putting his prints on the gun, giving him the money to ensnare him, everything he does is to dominate, and that shows in that movie, and that's how he dominates in this movie. Whereas with Jake Hoyt, I mean, the biggest thing was he smiles and he cries. That's what people would describe him as in that movie, and I think that's very true.
You're very underplaying everything that he does. And not only, I mean, he does get the drop on Denzel at the end. So it's not like Denzel is dominant through the entire point. He does end up winning. And you could say it's by chance, but I would say it's because him being the moral center is what guides him into the situation that allows him to get out of the sticky situation that Alonzo puts him in. Ethan Hawke plays green, optimistic, high, drunk, falsely confident, terrified, depressed, resolute, all within the course of this movie. And when they do the shot at Rogers, when he is stoic, he does not give in to temptation. The temptation's thrown all around him, peer pressure. He doesn't give into it. And he gets the drop on Denzel with the shotgun, and he forces everybody's hand around him. So Jake is skilled, he's moral, and he can look through Alonzo's bullshit, not at the beginning, but he figures it out at the end. And that's the most important part. And he does end up winning.
He ends up winning by chance. I will say that again. I mean, the neighborhood betrayed Denzel. There was nothing. Jake, if that had gone a different coin flip, that would have been over. Like the whole thing with, being attacked and being in that shower. If that person had not been the cousin of the person he saved earlier that day, it would have been over. It's all these different coincidences that are happening that we're trying to say is this character arc, but it's really not. It's just him on his first day. I mean, we've all been on our first day where we're just sitting there and we're just like barely any emotions, know what's going on. And that's him the entire movie. I mean, he's on onboarding. He's at HR getting his I-9 done. Like, that's the extent of what his performance is in this movie.
But he's able to parlay that into getting an understanding of the streets fairly early that Roger actually confirms that he does. He, as I mentioned, he's just sort of sitting and watching, and he does take out those two crackheads by himself without any help. Roger knows him because he's an awesome football player. He's got a beautiful wife, beautiful family. He managed to maintain that and maintain his moral center. Denzel, he's, again, larger than life, and you are drawn to him, but I don't have a connection to him as a human because of how big he is. It's kind of shticky. Like I said, he appears godlike in this movie, and because of that, there is a layer between us, which we don't have with Jake because, again, he's our means into this world.
The reason that Denzel works is because he's godlike, but he's also just like us. We're all self-destructive people. The entire reason why he got killed, the reason why all this happened, was because of his own decision-making when he killed the guy in Vegas and then he had to get that money. everything that happens, same with the neighborhood, everything that happens is him being self-destructive and his arrogance, which we all can relate to.
Okay. We are going to start with Tyler on the closings. Tyler, you get 1 minute when you start talking.
Look, what Denzel brings to that role is a performance that boggles your mind. A performance where you're not even sure the entire time, is he the bad guy? Is he the good guy? Is he just being a bad guy to get the bad guys? You know, a wolf to catch a wolf takes a wolf. You know, you're always guessing, even till the end. You're not sure. I mean, even Jake wasn't sure when Alonzo disappeared, and then he got attacked by the guys he was playing poker with. Like, it keeps you guessing. His performance is something that always keeps you guessing. You see all these different character traits in him, all these negative traits, these godlike traits, the way he controls people, his self-destructive tendencies, all these different things about him that makes him such a powerful character, but is also what leads to such an ultimate downfall. With Jake, he literally, I mean, he has everything. He's the American dream, and he has goals and aspirations, but no, it doesn't go anywhere. At the end of the day, he's stuck to his morals, but that was mostly just because.
Time. We're going to move over to Robert. Robert, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
You can't deny Denzel's a tour de force, but the problem is that it's become a memification of who he is as an actor. When we think about like how he looks in Gladiator 2, for instance, we're just superimposing what he does in Training Day into that because it's so larger than life. People talk about him elevating the material. The writing and direction in Training Day are on point. I think that's a specious argument. Denzel is good, but I think Ethan Hawke is better because he has less to work with, and yet he's still able to shine to the point he gets recognized by the Academy. Denzel even says it doesn't matter if you win. It's about elevating him, not the word elevating Ethan Hawke. He is our means into understanding what's going on around him, and he does it flawlessly. He plays all these different beats. He knows Alonzo's bad by the time he goes into Macy Gray's and steals that way before that point. So it's not, I disagree with that argument. The point is that Ethan Hawke is bright at the beginning, stoic, beaten down again.
Okay. We'll bring in the judges.
Well, I sent a strike from the record.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
in the end, strike from the record. Mark, are you there? Okay. So I have thoughts. Great discussion about the movie. Not a ton about the performance. This is something that I think a lot of people fall into. This is not just the first time we have this discussion all the time. It is very easy to go to look at best performance and want to talk about things the character does. That is what happened in this argument. And it's something that I think every player kind of has to go through at some point of like being told that like everything you were saying was correct, but the argument itself was kind of bad because you didn't talk about the performance. So that being said, if we were talking about what is the best character in a Fuqua movie, Robert would get my vote, and he gets my vote anyway, because he's the one that talked about performance the most. Though I didn't think it was a ton. He did tell me that Denzel is kind of giving a caricature of a performance, a pretty over animated version of a Denzel performance that's not as good. And also he talked about all the different things that Ethan Hawke has to do in this movie as far as performance goes, like depressed, drunk, happy, crazy, like that Ethan Hawke has that range. I didn't really hear much of anything from Tyler about the physical performance from Denzel, other than that he's like larger than life. So I thought Robert gave me the most on what the question was asking. So Mark, where do you vote?
Yeah, you know, took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking that for most of this fight. But also in that case, I did go with Robert for a lot of the same reasons you mentioned. I did think Tyler did, I think, realize at some point he hadn't talked about that much, why I think a lot of his closing was devoted to talking about the performance. But by then it was kind of late, and Robert also focused on his closing, so it kind of canceled out by that point. I do think Robert at least had a decent argument. It kind of building up why the movie, I think, asked more of Ethan Hawke. I think he did a good, like whenever he stuck to that, he did a good job at least explaining that.
Okay, Cody, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why?
Oh, I've never wanted to be tagged in so bad in a fight in my entire life. I was just like, say one more bad thing about Denzel. But overall, I had to scratch that at the surface. Yeah, it's a classic. It was classic. It happens a lot. When it was like best performance, it was like, well, Jake does this. Jake does not. Jake matters, but Jake doesn't matter because it's like, what does Ethan Hawke do to Jake? And I think Robert painted it best as he was going. I think Tyler was stuck with Alonzo. Like Denzel barely showed up in the argument for Tyler, and even though it happens a lot too, when you pick the correct answer, you think it's the correct answer, you feel confident enough that I've got Denzel in Training Day. It just didn't pan out. Also, biggest pet peeve in my entire life: people stop picking the same shit from the same movies. It drives me crazy. But you can do whatever you want as players. But it's Robert. I can't stand it.
All right.
Look through other Fuqua movies. I tell you.
I wanted someone to pick something from the first Equalizer movie, but Denzel from that. I thought a Denzel v. Denzel would have been fun. But anyway, great start. Robert wins the first point. We are going to move on to the next question, which was drafted by Tyler in the category of sci-fi icons. The question is, what is the best character in a Terminator movie? So, Tyler, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute to start when you start talking.
So when I think of the best character in a Terminator movie, I went with the unconventional pick, which is Sarah Connor in Terminator Dark Fate. This is not the Sarah Connor that most people know. There's obviously other versions of that character that people are probably more fond of. But for me, this character is the peak of what this character is meant to be. This isn't someone who's just kind of going around, doesn't really know what they're doing, trying to stop something. She is a tour de force. I mean, she's there to kill Terminators. She is able to, she's just so strong. She's so powerful. She easily can defeat Terminators. She's still grieving from the loss of her son. She's also mentoring this person who at first she thinks is just like her, you know, who's going to be the Mother Mary, as she calls her. This character, and also her interaction with Carl, especially trying to deal with the fact that this is a Terminator that killed her son. This is a character that is so rich and has so much to her while also still being so strong.
Time. Not gonna lie, I forgot that dude's name is Carl. All right, we're gonna move over to Robert. I had to think, who the fuck is Carl? Oh yeah, that's right. Robert, you now get 1 minute when you start talking.
If you hate arguments about people in the same movie, when you talk about best performance, you're gonna love this argument, because while Tyler chose Sarah Connor in Dark Fate, I chose Sarah Connor in T2 Judgment Day. And the reason I did is because her character is the ultimate heroine character. She is the culmination of everything that happens leading up to that movie, and it peaks crescendos within the concept of that film. Survives the first Terminator, everything from that to giving birth to John, those 10, 11 years off-screen sharpening her skills and the instinct for the impending war. All of that is baked into Terminator 2, and you can feel it as she is the focal point of that story. Trying to navigate her immediate responsibilities with keeping John safe, with how that plays into her far off responsibilities with trying to maintain the leader, make sure the leader of the human resistance is there to save humanity. It's great.
Time. All right. Two great picks, two great movies. I'm hyped. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Go ahead.
So I know that with T2, everybody thinks that it's this legendary film that redefined sci-fi or whatever. For me, when I was watching it, I realized that out of all the characters there, Sarah's one of the weaker ones. I mean, she's a wild animal. She's just running around, doesn't really know what she's doing, really just out there just to stab some people. She's not, I mean, if it wasn't, when you think about who's actually doing what she's trying to do, you think about the T-800, John, Miles Dyson. They're all out there trying to stop Skynet. Meanwhile, she's running around like a chicken with her head cut off.
I mean, no matter what you think about how she appears as Linda Hamilton plays her, in that movie, she's calculating, she's manipulative, she's rageful, she's sullen, morose, human, all combined together. That plays out as she plans her escape from the mental institution. That plays out with how it is that she plans to take out Miles Dyson because she thinks that's the most important thing to save humanity, and she doesn't go through with it because she remembers how to save her humanity. That's all baked into everything she does as the quintessential heroine of a James Cameron movie and of the Terminator franchise. Sarah Connor in Dark Fate, it's the same thing. It's just she's 30 years older. And I'm not an ageist, but why would I want to see Linda Hamilton? I'd rather see Linda Hamilton do the stuff in T2 than the stuff in Dark Fate when she can kick way more ass. So I don't understand why I would want to see that as opposed to T2.
She kicks way more ass in Dark Fate. What are you talking about? Literally, as soon as you see her, she takes out the Rev 9. She fucking just tosses a grenade over there, says, "I'll be back," which, I mean, has to give you chills. And then she goes and she's like, there is no fear in her. Yeah, whenever she's fighting in T2, there's always that fear. She's always not like, there's a good chance that she's not going to win this. This time, this is somebody who is now aged and has now learned. She's like characters like John Wick, characters that have really learned who they are. That's what this character is. And getting to walk with that character while she's out there trying to save this person that's just like her, trying to deal with the fact that her son is dead, which, I mean, that was her literal only reason for existing. Trying to reconcile with, the Terminator, like all of that stuff that draws you in. And while that's happening, she's constantly showing she's a badass. I mean, she had her own episode of America's Most Wanted. I mean, she's a celebrity because of how deadly she was. And you know that even though this was from in the past, you can see right now that she's even more deadly. She's more sure of herself. She knows exactly what to use. She knows what weapons to use. Like, she has so much more knowledge, and she utilizes that to take down a far superior foe.
You mentioned John Wick, but the thing about John Wick is that he has agency. And we learn through the course of this movie that her being around isn't even because of something she's figured out how to do. It's because Carl is just sending her text messages because he can feel time displacement. Ooh, great. She can read her texts. That's awesome. Everything is about how, Carl killed her son. Wonderful. That bases everything she does and how gruff and how non-caring she is. That fear you mentioned in T2, that rounds out her character in addition to her being a badass. Because of the death part, I ultimately care about the character journeys of Grace, Danny, and Carl way more than I care about Sarah. And Sarah has to be saved quite a bit of times. When they're getting to the helicopter, Danny has to pull out the gun and save her. When they're fighting Danny has to save her when they're fighting the Rev 9 at the end. You say she's badass, but there are plenty of times when she needs someone to protect her, even with all this knowledge and how badass she is within that movie. So I think that's a little specious of an argument too.
I mean, I think that the knowledge gained over time is something that's invaluable. Being able to procure the EMP, to come up with the plans to be able to defeat this Rev 9. And like I said, a far superior foe than T-1000. You don't get that from T2. With T2, it's just she's going around doing whatever she can. You say she has agency in that movie. She really doesn't, though, because she's going along with the prophecy just to keep John alive. There's no thoughts about her. It's only about keeping John alive. But at the same time, as soon as she sees what the T-800 is able to do and how she's able to be there for John, she immediately tries to ditch that. Like, that's not what we expect from that character. That character is supposed to be a mother who wants to take care of her child, but she seems more interested in just escaping.
Time. Okay. We are going to start with Robert on this one. Robert, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
It goes without saying, but Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor in T2 is at her most extreme badass. How she maneuvers her way from escaping from the psych hospital to the fight she has with the T-1000 at the hospital, Cyberdyne, and into the Foundry. She's tough as nails, skilled, resourceful, and she's fucking menacing. And yes, she has that human side too, which you see when she feels like she has to take out Miles Dyson, but she can't because she's trying to reserve that humanity. That makes her the best character because of how well-rounded she is. She is a second fiddle player in Dark Fate. There's nothing different besides the fact that John is killed. And all that does is make her emotionally unstable. And those things lead to her potentially ruining their mission. She's willing. There's a T-800 that's willing to help them take down this Rev 9. And she's more concerned about her emotional stakes with him than how she can save Danny. And she gets rescued constantly throughout. And she doesn't do that within T2. She has that agency that she doesn't have in Dark Fate. I think it's no contest that Sarah Connor is better in T2.
Time. Okay, we are going to move over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Two things I want to clear up. One, the reason why Miles Dyson didn't get killed was because his son saved his life. That wasn't because she decided not to pull the trigger. The trigger was pulled. That monster truck saved his life. Two, this isn't about most badass characters, it's about best character. I'm talking about a Sarah Connor that is dealing with her trauma, that's dealing with the fact that her entire existence is gone, and taking that out on the Terminators. You say that she almost ruins things by trying to kill Carl. If you're confronted by your child's killer, of course you're going to want to take them down. I don't think any parent out there would think differently than that. So that's exactly how that character is supposed to play. She uses her knowledge to be able to benefit them. She's able to take out Terminators on her own. She's been showing it in the past. She's willing to put aside her differences to help out this Mother Mary character that's exactly like her, able to look at the big picture, which is something that she really can't. I mean, in T2, she has a lot harder time accepting things, and so this character has so many more multitudes to her because of her relationships and the length of time.
Time. Okay. All right, we're gonna bring in the judges.
Bing. Two fights down.
Two fights, too furious.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sorry,
No,
don't let that affect your decision.
I already wrote it. I won't erase this for either one, but still, that's bad.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Cody, you're kicking us off.
You know what's even worse when you pick from the same movie is when you pick the same god dang character and like put it out there and then try to use each other's arguments to like impact your character from like the stuff she learns in D2 made her the person in this movie, and she wouldn't have known that stuff. She's not as old. It was a lot of just back and forth. I didn't really hear best. Like, I thought for a while, I had to look back at the question, but I was like, is this action? Is this like the most like badass woman? Like, because they kept down the selling point, and I think that is a selling point in best character. But it was like they were on it. I'm going to be honest with you. This was like, I felt like there was just a ton of cancellations in this because they're the exact same character, just at two different time points in their life. And hearing she was badass in this one and she's badass in this one just doesn't do a lot. I end up going with Tyler. I thought Tyler's like the hits that he was making about the character and what world they were creating and what you kind of learned from this past experience made her the better character because she's grizzled. I don't know. I think it was kind of a mess of a fight, but I think that was based on the picking of the choices because it was just hard to separate the two people. So that's my pick. I may be wrong. That's why we have three at least.
Yeah, it usually happens on the first question that Cody and I disagree, but I went with Robbie Casts. And here's why. I disagree with Cody. Shocker that I do it at least once during a debate. But I thought this was actually really good. It worked for me. The way that they were fighting actually, like, I agree there was like cancellations in the sense that like, oh, this one's badass, this one's badass. But I thought once they got past that and kind of down to the nitty gritty and specifics of plot points of the movie, I thought Robert was able to give me more negatives against the version in Dark Fate than the one in T2. I thought both did a really good job of upping their characters. Robert talked about how Sarah is calculating when you see her in trying to escape the prison, the way that she's with John and working to protect John. I think Tyler actually kind of made me more in favor of Robert at one point when he was like, yeah, and then when she sees that John is taken care of, she leaves to go like do something else, and I was like, yeah, she makes sure he's taken care of, and then she leaves. So like that's like but I did think that like on the other end of things too, like Tyler did a lot. Like I think the age thing, like Robert's crack about the age thing of being like, who cares? She's 30 years old. Like I didn't totally buy into that. I thought Tyler's like age experience, like stuff is good. But I thought that Robert's hits against the older version in Dark Fate of just being like, she does need to be saved multiple times throughout the movie. And then bring up the plot point of like, she's literally only doing what she's doing because somebody else is helping her to do it throughout the movie. Like that's her whole reason for being there, worked for me. So I did think it was close, even though I feel like I have to explain why I'm voting for Robert, but I did think Tyler's argument was very strong and very good. I thought this was a close one and way better than the first fight. So great job, guys. Mark, you're deciding this one though.
All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, this fight was better. I feel like, yeah, we even though I do agree with Cody a little bit here, I do think there was a lot of cancellations. Like just like, okay, like, all right, like my character's tough. No, my character's tough. I'm like, all right, we get it. It's like we're talking about Sarah Connor at the same time. I did lean with Tyler. For me, I think this match was kind of won and lost with the closing arguments, and I think kind of a lot of the stuff that Robert brought up, kind of about what was at least wrong with Dark Fate and kind of her age and like her agency. I feel like Tyler, at least at the very end, was able to combat a lot of it, especially when he brought up her having to deal with her son's killer at the end. And I just think in general, like, I think Tyler paints a picture of, I think, a more interesting character. And I think at least in Dark Fate, she's like the characters are Connor's like put through more interesting situations.
Awesome. All right. Well, like Cody said, that's why we have 3 judges. So Tyler wins the point. We're tied up 1-1. So we're going to move on to the next question. And this has the potential. I don't remember what the answers are, but this has the potential to be committed by the same killer. Your question is, what is the best kill in a 21st century horror icons film? So maybe like, you both pick a kill in the same movie, or you both the same franchise.
Same kill.
Yeah. All right. Robert, you picked this, so you get to go first. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking.
When I think about a good kill or death scene, I don't think it's only about the circumstances of the kill or the coolness of it, but the level of satisfaction that we receive from a person who gets dispatched. And no one gives me more joy at expiring than that shitty kid Jeremy who Corey babysits at the beginning of Halloween Ends. There's this level of catharsis, of relief when you see him being unnecessarily dickish to Corey, and then watching that door ram with such intensity into his face, knowing he's going down when you see the far off shot and his parents are going to be there to witness it, and just the visceral reaction, the noise, the blood spurt. It's awesome. You want to cheer even though it's a child murder, because this kid is the worst and he eats it in such a satisfying and eventful way that you can't help but think it's the best. I know you will say, well, it's not by the horror icon, but you know what? Corey ends up being a mass murderer by the end of the movie, spoiler alert, and this is his best kill by far because of how it makes me feel inside. And how I feel inside, even as a father, is that fuck that kid.
All right. We're going to move over to Tyler. Tyler, you get 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
So when I think about best kill, I think about something that takes elements of all the elements of what makes a killer in these movies and brings it all together. For me, there's not really anything else that comes to mind more than the liquid nitrogen kill in Jason X. Honestly, like, I mean, this, you say what you will about Jason X, this is the best kill of the 21st century. It's the one that sticks with people's minds. They may not remember anything about the movie other than this, but they remember the liquid nitrogen, especially since it's about, I mean, like I said, it's quintessential. So the whole him coming back to life because people are having sex, you get to see that actually happening. You see his heart beat as this is happening. You also see him kill somebody who, if I hadn't known about it beforehand, I would have thought that she would have been till the end. She had all the final gore qualities, every single thing about her. She even sympathized with Jason when she took off the mask. She was like, "Poor baby, like what have they done to you?" Like everything about her says, "I'm gonna make it at least till the end." And then as soon as he wakes up, that end comes right. That's right there. So seeing him put her face in that liquid nitrogen, smashing that face, that's the best.
All right, this is gonna be interesting. 5 minute free form when one of you starts talking.
Tyler, when I think of best, I don't think of any. I think of things beyond just something that's cool and idiosyncratic. That Jason death is cool and idiosyncratic. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but I like something that can transcend and have a meaningful consideration for me. And that death doesn't do it because there are other gnarly kills that happen. Soldier on the screw, Soldier being cut in half, David Cronenberg gets impaled, the hippie hologram girls that get beat to death in the sleeping bag. There's a lot of cool kills in Jason X, but I prefer my kill because it has a meaning to it, not just for it drives the plot of the story. If we don't have that death, we don't have Corey being the murderer. And for as bad as you could say that is for the sake of Halloween Ends, that's the driving force of that movie. And it's so visceral and gruesome too. Yours is, but mine is as well, in addition to being meaningful.
I mean, the thing about yours is that I don't recall anyone talking about it afterwards. I mean, I don't think anyone I've talked to has seen Halloween Ends talks about how that whole thing went down. They talk about, if you want to talk about dicks in that movie, every single person there is a dick to Corey. So it makes that kid not stand out at all, because you got those band kids, you got his mom, you have literally the entire town all being dicks to him. So this kid gets washed out. And I know you're going to say it's because this was caused by the kid's death, but the fact is that he's drowned out by the noise of every single other townsperson. So, you know, honestly, like you have no idea at the end of it. Like, you're like, what even kill was that? What even happened? All you remember is that people were mad at him about killing his kid. He maybe did some jail time, and then he just goes around being moody all the time. But you don't really remember the kill itself.
Tyler, I don't know who you're talking to, but I like to see these kills over and over again. That's me. And when my wife and I saw that with impending child, we had to watch that over and over again because of how out of place it seemed and how coolly simple but yet effective it was. So I don't know who you're talking to, but we, and amongst our friend group and the people that I talk to in the movie trivia space, we talk about that kill all the time because, again, it's not just how the force of the door and the blood that spurts up and the sound that it makes when his body hits. It's how we feel about how that kid eats it because we want him to eat it. I don't have any emotional resonance in your kill. It's cool, yes, but best has to go beyond it being cool. And, you know, it's just kind of like a gross out kill that, oh, cool, they're in the future, so we can use liquid nitrogen that we couldn't use before. Great.
So you say that you watch it again and again and again. I don't imagine you get the same impact again and again and again, because as you start to watch it every time, it starts to lose that meaning, because you start to see the cracks. You start to see the cracks about, okay, well, how does this even happen? And it really just kind of starts taking away from that, because the whole time they're trying to convince you that there's the Michael Myers, but then later on you're like, wait, this was just a kid? No kid was able to put this together. And so you're really just starting to wonder, like, you're starting to think about like those masks that Corey Feldman's character in Friday 4 was able to make. Like, you're like, there's no way that this kid was able to do this. And so you start to lose some of that credibility. I mean, with mine, you already got that sci-fi part of it being in the future. So liquid nitrogen, you're not surprised by it. Like, you're surprised by it, but you're not like, oh, well, that's out of place because this is the future. So it fits right into the theme. And you say that it doesn't have any emotional impact. It's about being memorable. It's about sticking in your mind. And this kill will always stick in people's mind. All the other ones you talked about, those don't stick into people's minds because Jason's already done all that stuff before. And while we're on that topic, I mean, we've seen kids die on Halloween before. So it's not something that's new. It's not something that surprises you. It's something that's already happened.
Not by a babysitter. We have the expectation the babysitter in charge is supposed to protect them. And this, it flips it entirely on its head. And David Gordon Green, you love to see that. Usually it's taboo to kill kids. But he's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I just want to see kids die. And you're like, oh, maybe that girl, the lab assistant, oh, maybe she could be the final girl. She wasn't on the expedition to go get Jason. You think anybody who's I see coming back on the ship just because, like, oh no, they feel bad for Jason, that I feel like they have an opportunity to extend out? No way. Oh no, she was annoyed that, you know, the couple doesn't stay around. She deserved to die. Also, I thought there was going to be some nudity in that scene, and then they shortchange us. So I think.
All right, Tyler, you're closing first on this one. 1 minute when you start talking.
Like I said, the thing about My Kill is memorable. He says that she doesn't have final girl qualities. She does. She has that cute, innocent look. She sympathizes with the killer. Like, she's also the one that's kind of this, you know, on the straight and narrow compared to everybody else, which is literally why like people went and go to have sex, which brings Jason back to life. And then you see the sequence of literally every single, if you distilled Friday the 13th down into one beaker, this would be in it. The sex bringing him back to life, the interesting kills, like everything about that is Friday the 13th. And it's crazy, like, to think that just because it doesn't have emotion in it, it's not the best, because a lot of these movies are very hokey and we want to see them do something interesting and new, which is something we've always gotten from the Friday franchise, and we got it with this. For his kill, I mean, I don't see, like, first of all, you say David Gordon Green showed that there's no rules, but like, he already killed a kid in Halloween 2018, so he already showed there's no rules. You don't need to show that again. Also, I mean, yeah, kids are dicks, but that doesn't mean they should die.
All right. Sorry, I got a very weird message from Andrew James Barr that I was like trying to be like, what the fuck is he saying to me? Robert, you now have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Yeah, just because a kid is a dick doesn't mean he deserves to die. Oh, just because the lab assistant was annoyed and people want to go have sex. Oh yeah, that means she definitely deserves to die. Whoop-de-doo for her. I mean, Jason has plenty kills throughout the course of the 21st century, not only in that movie, but in Friday the 13th, the remake, and in Freddy vs. Jason, that rival what goes on with the liquid nitrogen kill, which is cool, but it doesn't mean that it's best just because it's cool. Jeremy's death scene is the driving force for Corey to become who he is. David Gordon Green did kill a kid in 2018, but it wasn't as visceral and it wasn't as impactful, and something that you want to watch over and over again that can be done in a boomerang that is really cool for internet culture and really makes you think about how the extreme you would go to if you were a babysitter, which goes against what we're used to. The babysitters are usually supposed to be protective. And in this case, the babysitter gets pushed too far, ends up having that one bad day, and that kid eats it, and you feel fantastic about it because that kid is a douche and he deserves to die, and he died in the best freaking way possible.
Time. All right. Bring in the judges. Which kid died in 2018?
The one that went hunting with his dad.
Yeah, the kid at the beginning with his dad.
Oh, that's right.
I was just wanted dance practice.
I was like, if we're counting teenagers as kids, like we like.
No. And then the that kid is being watched in the house. He's like, oh shit, and just runs off.
I was about to say
He was smart.
The coolest kid. If we're doing
Yeah, he
coolest kid in a
survived.
21st century horror icons film, that guy right there, Julian. Learned so much today about you, Robert. It's interesting.
Yeah, good.
All right, I'm ready. Are you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark, you're kicking this one off.
Yeah. I really wish, Tyler had maybe gotten cut off a second earlier, because then the final words for his fight would have been "kids are dicks," and he just would have had to live with that. I wish we had gotten that moment, but
sorry,
is what it is.
He's not wrong.
This is a really weird fight. You hear the beginning, and you hear the choices, and you think, "Oh, I think I know where I'm going with this." And then you hear the fight. You're like, "Okay, I didn't think about any of this," and I ended up going with Robert. I don't know. I think he had some pretty decent hits on Tyler for the whole time, and his main argument of it kind of coming out of nowhere and it just kind of taking you by surprise, and it's kind of the driving force of the movie. I kind of weirdly glommed onto that, and I kind of sided with Robert for majority of this fight. So yeah.
Cody.
Robert, to quote one of my favorite gifts to ever use is the Michael Jordan "Stop, get some help." That's what I'm going to say to you. You need help. I'm really confused. And I've never thought about this as we normally passion helps a lot in this debate. I never thought the amount of passion that Robert had for this kid fucking dying was the biggest selling point ever for him. But he was very passionate. As a coach, if again, I'm a manager of Tyler's, if I was a coach in this moment, I'd be like, get off that people don't talk about this kill and talk about why this kill sucks. If he would have just focused on, I know he said it's not memorable, kids have died before, but if he just drove home it's not a good kill, this doesn't happen, he just never drove that home. It's twice in this fight tonight that he's had I think arguably the correct answer when you look at it on paper, and he just didn't go for the jugular on Robert. And again, you didn't know when you're sitting across from it that Robert would be this passionate about murdering children. But it went with Robert.
Yeah, I agree. I I was shocked. And
you and your wife watch it multiple times, by the way.
that movie's atrocious. And I think that yeah, I mean, I don't need to go too far. I pretty much agree with everything Mark and Cody said. I thought Tyler did a good job on upping his. Though Robert's point about I really thought there was going to be nudity in that scene and they shortchanged us was one of the best quotes that I am going to have to get down, because that was really funny. But I did think that Tyler had a good argument for his, but yeah, I was shocked that, again, it's not Robert's job to make me agree with him in the sense that I personally think this is the best kill, having seen both films, but his job is to convince me with the facts that it is at the same time, and I thought he did that pretty well, even though I never would have thought of this as a pick. So good job on Robert on that one. And so that means Robert is up 2-1. We are going to get into the final prep question of the round. So Tyler needs to hit this in order to send it to the bonus speed round. So the question is, in the category of action and adventure, your question: what is the most exciting disaster scene? So Tyler, you drafted this. You get to kick it off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
for me, excitement in a disaster scene is always going to be that sense of danger, that sense that this could be it for our characters. I immediately thought of what a scene that perfectly encapsulates that. A scene where it starts out with a triumph and quickly turns into tragedy, and that is the final F5 tornado of Twister. So I chose this scene because, like I said, they finally got Dorothy to work. They finally got Dorothy into the tornado so that way it could track everything. And you think that this is it. And then all of a sudden, that tornado is still coming at them. That tornado throws everything at them. It throws logs at them. It throws a fuel truck at them. It eats things. It eats a barn. I mean, it's everything about it is just exciting because they're just running. I mean, they start on a truck, but at some point they're running out there. They're literally trying to outrun death. And you're with them. You're excited, you're trying to watch them, and you're just hoping and hoping and hoping that they'll survive. And then when they do, you feel like you're so satisfied by that
time. Okay, we are going to move over to Robert. Robert, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Typically, when you get thrust into a disaster scene, the character's only motivation is surviving the disaster. But in what I chose, which is the sandstorm from Mad Max Fury Road, it's used as a set piece as we continue the plot of the movie, which is the chase of Furiosa and the wives by Immortan Joe and the crew. So we still get the excitement of the car chase. There's fighting between Max and Nux. The rigs are running into each other. But we're in the course of this hellscape of this bright and vibrant, colorful storm. And it's visually appealing, but it's also menacing. So it has this unique factor because most disasters are gray and monochromatic, as a Twister kind of is, and lacks as much visual appeal as what happens in the Mad Max storm. So you feel like you're still in touch with the theme of the movie as you're engulfed in this chaotic mess that's causing things to fly up and people to be crushed and explosions to happen. It's quite idiosyncratic in that way, and that's why I think it's most exciting, because it plays with the theme of the movie too.
Time. Okay, so 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Sure.
So I know you praise the visuals of that scene, and it is very pretty. But if I'm going to be honest with you, after watching that scene, I feel like the visuals of the sandstorm take out that excitement. It starts to make everything feel a little bit more detached. You see cars that have previously already been running into each other, but when they do the exact same thing inside the sandstorm, it's just like everything just feels softer. The thing about like Twister is that danger is right there. Everything, when you see that barn get taken away, you feel those slats. You feel that those pieces of the barn being sucked up. You feel them being, almost sucked into this tornado. Every single moment, like you feel it. You're tense about it, and so you're just like your adrenaline's pumping, and you want them to survive. But with yours, it's more just like, oh, that looks really nice. That's pretty cool. Okay, someone died. Oh well.
A few people die, and it's not only just like, you do feel claustrophobic in it though, and there's a lot of different. It's not just the fact that it's a sandstorm. It has like 3 or 4 natural disasters happening. There's lightning, there's tornadoes within the sandstorm. All these things are happening within the context of the cloud, and it happens within a 4 to 5 minute scene. So I agree that it would be great that you feel this sense of relief, and this danger, and the feel, the slats. But you know what? That F5, that all takes the course of like 20 minutes. It's drawn out for this climax, and despite the powerful destructive nature of it, it's kind of slow and plodding as it goes across the farmland. And in that movie, there's 3 other tornado occurrences that are much more appealing because of the speed and the danger. I'm surprised he didn't choose the drive-in theater one, because everything gets destroyed in that, and in the F5, not everything gets destroyed. They hang to a pipe and they live, and like the farmhouse on the farm doesn't even get destroyed by this supposedly larger God's fingernail pressing down on the earth. Like, I don't think it's that exciting. I think it's plodding and slow.
No, I mean, I think that there's multiple things that are happening that excite you. It's a scene that constantly is giving you something new to see. Some things, like the tree branch taking out Dorothy. They got put out the other Dorothy, and then they get stuck on that tree branch. They're trying to drive away, and so you see this tornado coming towards you. Things like the fuel truck, seeing that explosion. I mean, that was a fantastic explosion that they did in that one.
What else has a fantastic explosion? The explosions in the Mad Max Storm, which are done more visually. No, it wasn't. You could see everything that's happening with it.
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, it's real pretty. I'll give you that one. But It's just everything that's in there, you're just not feeling it. It just doesn't feel like it has any weight to it. I don't know if it's because of the fact that it's CG or what, but you don't feel much of anything when that's happening. And for a movie that's high octane, where every single scene is something that's stressing you out, something where things are blowing up, things are explosions, you don't want a scene where you're just kind of feeling like you're in a bubble observing all of this.
It might be a bubble, but it's a highly dangerous bubble. And it's not only when you're in it, but it's the harrowing feeling as they're driving towards the wall that something bad is going to happen. And there's nothing they can do about it. And everybody has tension about it, except Nux, because he's a psychotic. But you know what I mean? It's people are getting tossed all over the place. You can see things exploding in the air, and then it goes dark, and you have no idea if everybody survived. And in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, seeing all these people die, you're like, wow, that probably had a major impact on like the world's population, because we don't know how many people were actually alive in this place. With yours, I mean, the heroes actually defeat the tornado, don't they? Because they get Dorothy to work within it and they track it. And that's what they've been working towards all along. So they don't defeat any of the other tornadoes, but they kind of defeat the F5. So can it be that exciting if they can defeat a natural disaster? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, your people also survived your sandstorm, so I guess in that
Not
way
everybody.
they also defeated it. And not everybody survived this one.
Carry Elway. He's
yes,
the only one.
his team is because of his hubris. Yes, he died from that. And your people also drove in the sandstorm. They made the exact decision to do that. So they're two sides of the same coin. For me, this scene is not only because of the exciting set pieces and all the different things that they have going on that are interesting to you, but also it's because of the fact that you are resonating with what the character is doing right now. Joe, literally at the beginning of the movie, lost her father to an F5, this exact same situation. She's about to lose everything again with Bill, maybe even her own life. So that just raises the tension even more. So it makes it more exciting because you're like, oh my God, like, please, please, please win. Yeah, they defeated Tornado. That's great. That's what we want the heroes to do. We always want them to survive, but if they can at least get something that was some sort of win out of that, then that's going to just make it so much more exciting, so much happier, something that's going to stay with you because man conquered nature, which is something we would all love to do.
And they conquer nature in that. They don't really have a choice. They're driving straight and there's a chase going on. They have to drive into the storm. It's coming right at them. The only thing I will say, the visually appealing part is when they're actually in the tornado, but it's really like slow motion and slow, and it's beautiful, but it's not destructive or dangerous or exciting because they're just looking up, and because they're tied to a pipe, they can survive it. And I would rather watch the F5 that takes her dad, because that had more stakes to me and did more damage than what happened at the end with the final F5.
Time. Okay. Robert, you get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Tyler kept bringing up this point that you can't really see what's going on in the sandstorm. That's not true. The lights, everything lights up. It's very visually appealing. And it's not only that which makes mine most exciting, it's how you combine all these different disasters together, but it doesn't take away from the plot of the movie. People are still having agency and still trying to play this cat and mouse game in the midst of this harrowing storm that we get the tension of as they're driving into it, and they have no choice because the thing is a mammoth. It's like Goliath and Loki. They can't get away from it. It's going to eat them up. And it does. And people don't survive. Our main people do. But when you're looking at it and you're seeing explosions in the air, it's the most exciting thing. Tyler's F5 tornado, it takes so long. It's going along and it plods all through this farmland, and it takes like 20 plus minutes. It takes too long. Like, it doesn't destroy everything in its path. So how can it be as and again, the heroes defeat it, which is just insane. So great, they can beat natural disasters.
Time. All right. We're gonna move over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Last time I checked, anticipation and tension are what creates excitement, and that is what the scene in Twister does. Yeah, sometimes it's not going to be right in your face, and it doesn't have to be, because it's building. When they get stuck on that tree, that means that the tornado is coming right at them, and they can't move. That is terrifying. That makes you tense. It's exciting when they get away from it. They're trying to outrun this thing that literally kills everything. And they are able to do that. That is a win. That is great. That is happy. It is exciting because we got to see them survive something that they should not have survived. And they found beauty in it because they love these things, even though they know it will kill them. His his whole thing is that they drive into a sandstorm and it looks really pretty, and that's great. But everything that's happening in there was happening outside that sandstorm. It's the exact same thing, but it's not as exciting. You're in a bubble. You're in a cushion of all this sand. So when you see things happen, see things get destroyed, you don't really register on it. You're just like, of course, yeah, okay, they're in a sandstorm, so things explode. That's cool. Nothing sticks with you.
Time. All right. Good shit, guys.
Cool.
Uh-oh.
Yep, we're getting to the
Meow.
end of her.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We're good.
Been there. How old is your daughter now?
My daughter's 20 months, but that's my 17-year-old cat.
Oh, I thought that was your daughter.
You thought that was a dog? That's a cat.
I thought that was the baby monitor.
No, I don't have the baby monitor. That's the cat.
Oh,
in my
well
room.
then yeah, that makes sense that she'd be freaking out.
If your daughter makes that sound, please go.
That is exactly what Ellie sounds like. Watch the tape.
Your daughter sounds like a cat.
She's terrifying when she wakes up in
That's a weird sounding cat.
She's not terrifying. She's perfect.
She's pretty great. Okay. I'm going first, and this was good. I like this. I like both these movies a lot. Fun fact, which is going to piss many people off. I saw Twister for the first time like a month ago. Very much enjoyed it. Really, really liked it. Obviously, I love Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's kind of a perfect movie. And so these were both great picks that are fresh in my mind because I just rewatched Fury Road before Furiosa as well. So great picks. Loved it. I feel like I've kind of been a broken record on the last 3 fights voting for Robert. So it's time to break that streak. I voted for Tyler. I thought that Tyler did a really good job here, and I think Robert did too. And this is kind of the inverse of the last one for me, where I was like, on paper, Robert's pick for me was the correct one, where I was like, man, that scene is so exciting. But Tyler did a really good job deconstructing it and kind of tearing it down. And also, I thought that he was able to take Robert's hits against the F5 of the like, oh, it doesn't destroy everything and they beat it, so who cares? Like Tyler's able to be like, well, no, they outrun it and they defeat it, and that's exciting. Like that gets you hyped. And so I gave it to Tyler. I thought he did a really, really good job. I thought this was maybe his best performance, though I didn't vote for him on the other one that he won the point for, so maybe I'm wrong. But I thought Tyler did really, really well on this one. So Mark, where are you voting? Are we done, or are we going to a bonus or not?
Oh, mainly because I know everybody loves the bonus round so much. You know, I also had Tyler. Yeah, to me, I feel like Tyler won this fight on his defense. I feel like almost every point that Robert brought up about Twister, Tyler had a pretty good response for, and I think he did a good enough job of at least knocking down the Fury Road scene, which I think again here is the technically correct answer. I think if he kind of asked most people what scene you're gonna pick, they probably would pick Roberts, but no, I really liked how pretty much after pretty much every point that Robert had, like Tyler was able to shoot it down, and I think he built up what I think was already a good scene.
All right, Cody, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why? You're muted.
Yep. No, got it. Okay. Just in fact checking, in Twister, they do not defeat the Twister; they just survive the Twister. That's an incorrect statement. They tie themselves to the thing and don't get sucked out of the ground. But overall, this was very close. It went to the final thing. I needed Tyler to say something in his closing to help it, because I think the argument of like they survive it, nothing happens to them. And I think Tyler was like, yes, when he was, and before he went to the closing, like, your guys survive it too. And no one dies in yours. And you're like, yeah, people do die in mine, but it's like no-name characters of the situation in Mad Max go flying in the sky. You don't really know who those are. Same thing with Kara. And then your argument was just because they survive it, that can also be exciting because it wasn't a disaster scene, but it needed like surviving it does make it exciting. Like you can do that. So, and I think he pitched it really well in the closing to make that work. So I had to go Tyler. And it's not that I hate Mad Max Fury Road and love Twister. I was neutral. I was Switzerland.
That's fair. All right. Well, that means we are all tied up and going to the speed round. So here's how this is going to work. I randomized the side of Fanzone that was going to be drafted tonight, either Fandom or Mayzone. And then I randomized the category from the side that was going to be picked from the remaining categories that weren't drafted in the main round. So I am going to say a question based on what was randomized. You are then I'm going to repeat the question a second time. Once I've said the question twice, you can answer the question. Whoever answers the question first will go first in the debate. You will have 45 seconds, and then you'll have 30 seconds. So each of you will get a 45-second, and each of you will get a 30-second. Any questions about how this is going to work from the players?
Nope.
We don't. So just sorry. It's just us talking. Like, say, like I would talk, he would talk, and then I would talk again, and he would talk.
Yep.
Opens
Okay.
and closes.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Open,
So no
close,
discussion or anything. Okay.
Or open, close, basically.
Okay.
You're
You're basically going to respond to each other based on what you like. You're going to make that point.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So the side of Fanzone that was randomized was the Melee side, though I was wishing it was the Fandom side for you two. But it was not. It was the Melee side, and I have to be honest. And the category, I wish it was like sci-fi fantasy. So
no.
it was biopics. So we're gonna keep the what is the best train moving.
Uh-oh.
And we are going to say, what is the best 21st century biopic? So again, what is the best 21st century biopic?
I'll say Oppenheimer.
Okay.
I'm going to say The Pursuit of Happiness.
That definitely counts. All right.
Okay.
The Pursuit of Happiness versus Oppenheimer. I'm going to take out those judges. I'm going to say on screen, Robert gave his answer first, so he's going to be going first. Robert, you have 45 seconds to start your argument when you start talking.
I think when you think about a quintessential movie that encapsulates everything about a person's life and his impact on his life and how this movie impacts the whole of movies, nothing says that more than Oppenheimer. It's brilliantly directed by Christopher Nolan. It has great performances. Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., a bunch of people have won a bunch of Oscars. The cinematography is amazing. The sound design, the set pieces, everything tells a complex story through time and interaction and relationships and love and sex and hurts. All of that is built and baked into what Oppenheimer gives, and how it's brilliantly shepherded by Christopher Nolan and tells the story about a man. We know he did one thing, but how did he get to do that one thing? It's brilliant.
Brilliant. Strike it from the record. Tyler, 45 seconds.
I chose for best 21st century biopic the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. For a movie that's a biopic, I mean, this movie draws you in throughout the entire movie. You live with this person, you live vicariously through this person. You feel everything that he feels, every bit of doubt, every bit of feeling like he needs to change, every bit of feeling he needs to take care of his child when it's just him and his child, all that hopelessness. You feel all of that throughout that entire movie. And then getting to watch as he starts to pile on the wins, as he starts to go towards that climax where all of his struggle, all of everything that he put himself and his child through starts to pay off. It just tells a journey that just resonates with you, and it resonates even though it's been 18 years since that movie came out.
Time. Robert, 30 seconds.
You know what resonates with me about that movie? That it's a vehicle for his son and him to act. Good for him. What I think about with Oppenheimer, I think about the desire and the basis of a man who's trying to silence all the haters, all of the outside noise, all of the things that lead to political unrest. All of that is built and baked into all the emotion that you feel with Cillian Murphy as they go through this journey. The scale, the weight, the technical aspects of Oppenheimer. There's no contest with Pursuit of Happiness. It's emotionally resonant and physically resonant.
All right, Tyler, 30 seconds.
Pursuit of Happiness is a story that we all have lived with. It's an entrepreneurial story. You see all these hits that this person takes. We've all taken hits. We believe in this story. Getting to see him get that win feels like a win for all of us. All of us have dreams that we want to pursue. Sometimes it costs us everything. Sometimes we give up on the dream instead of losing everything. That is a film that's always going to stay with you, that journey. For Oppenheimer is not a story that a lot of people would have ever asked for. It's a story that, that's too long. It's bloated. The Senate doesn't matter.
Okay. We will bring in the judges. Okay.
Am I going first?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Cody, you're going first.
Now, I will say, this question was asked. I didn't think of Oppenheimer right away. It makes perfect sense. I definitely did not think of Pursuit of Happiness. But I love Pursuit of Happiness. Great movie. Go check it out. I felt like this is a very uphill battle. Because I don't know if Oppenheimer is like the correct choice, like some of the other picks tonight, but it was a Titan to pick against. And I think Tyler did a really good job selling like a lot of the points of why it works. I don't think his takedowns of Pursuit of Happiness, I don't think his takedowns of Oppenheimer were strong enough. Too long, didn't really want it, didn't really take down the movie, more like of overall like reception before it came out, kind of where it came. So I had to go with Robert on this one. But it was a good fight.
Okay. I think great picks. Like, to me, like, when you like nobody, I feel like if you know me pretty well, you know, like Oppenheimer, I fucking love that movie. And Pursuit of Happiness, I think, is a really, really good movie. It gets a lot of like hate nowadays that it doesn't, I think, deserve. I thought that Robert's hit against it being like, it's just a vehicle for like father and son, like, okay, that was like really like the only kind of hit I really heard about Pursuit of Happiness. And I thought Tyler did a good job of telling why it's like a human story, something that we can all root for. But I think on the whole, best biopic, Rob gave the overall technical directing, cinematography, performances. Did you mention RDJ? Did I miss that?
I said RDJ.
You did. Okay, good. It was, I thought that Robert on the whole used his time to talk about more components of his film. Tyler did a good job, again, saying like why it's a feel-good movie. But if Tyler really delved into, and it's hard with 45 seconds, but I think Robert did it better. But if Tyler had delved more into the performances, how the movie shot, how it looks, like everything, to combat what Robert was saying about Oppenheimer with the set pieces and the performances and everything, I think he would have had a stronger case against it. But I think in the 45 seconds and 30 seconds that Robert was given, he did more with that on the positive. I agree with Cody. I think the negatives on both sides were kind of a wash. Though I think that they both tried. It was just Robert had the more positives for me. So, Mark, your vote does not count. Where would you have gone and why?
Yeah, I would have been. I had to go with Robert. Yeah, I just think in terms of, I think it's said pretty well. I think Robert just uses time a bit more efficiently here, and at least in the case for Oppenheimer, I think he said all the right things, and there just wasn't enough to. There wasn't enough to, I think, hit on his, which I think it was something just Tyler just needed to bring up more.
Yeah, all right. Well, that means your winner is Robert Castner. So we are going to get into post-match interviews. We're going to start by talking to Tyler. Tyler, great job. I thought you played really well today, even though maybe my votes didn't show it. I thought you did a great job, man. I think you played great. You had some really good choices, but as we established tonight, sometimes the choices aren't always the pick. And sometimes those out-of-field left picks, like Pursuit of Happiness, can come in and surprise judges. And I think you were really close on this one, like closer than I think it probably sounds based on our votes. But I think you played great, and I think you continue to improve in the league, and I love to see it. How are you feeling about the match overall, man?
I mean, obviously, hate the way it ended. I mean, like, that's maybe the second worst category I could have gotten. I haven't seen Pursuit of Happiness in over 10 years. And I've seen maybe 3 other biopics in that time, and none of them stuck with me. So it was just like the absolute worst thing to get. So that just feels awful. Other than that, I mean, I felt better as the match went on. I know at the beginning I didn't feel that great. Just a lot of work stuff today, so I wasn't really feeling my best. And so once I finally got into the fight, and like fighting Robert was actually a lot of fun. It really gave me a lot of energy, so I really enjoyed that. Like even on the ones that I lost, like I just felt like I felt really animated, which was really fun. And it never got like to be too much, but yeah, I mean, definitely some things that I just need to continue to work on. And also it's just sometimes it comes down to like the picks. I mean, training days, I just chose that obviously because it was the best, like he said. Like he pegged it right at the beginning. Like it was just like I looked up what the best ones were, and I just went with that. And then I watched it for the first time for this match a couple weeks ago. So I think just trying to choose something that for the first time and trying to choose a performance is kind of rough. But doing things like the Terminator one was a lot of fun. I know doing the same character sucks, but I really just wanted to see what would happen if we did Sarah Connor versus Sarah Connor, and it didn't disappoint. I don't think so. So I enjoyed that. The natural disaster one, I had a lot of fun with, especially because I wasn't expecting the sandstorm from Mad Max Fury Road. Because you don't think about that as a disaster movie, so that was kind of a fun, odd pick. So overall, like it was fun. I hate how it ended. Things to work on for sure. Robert played a hell of a game, so I'm glad that he gets to move forward to go to the number 1 contender match, and it's good to see how he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, this does mean your season in the debate is over, but I look forward to having you back next season. We actually have a match slotted for you next season. I can't tell you on call here live on the recording who it is, but if there was someone that you were looking forward to playing, is there anybody?
I'm trying to remember who's in this league.
A lot of
I mean, honestly, like, I know there's like a lot of different people. Probably just like anybody that just does like really ridiculous things, because I just think that'd be a lot of fun.
Cody?
I mean, I think it'd be an interesting match to go into it. I'd have to put in a ton of work. But no, I mean, I'm having fun with it. So I think anybody would just be a lot of fun. As long as it's not Alex, I still have that trauma. So
that's fair. Tyler, congrats on a match well played. We look forward to seeing you next time as we bring in Mr. Robert Castner. Robert, congrats on the win. You're moving on to a number 1 contender match. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but first, let's get your feelings on your fight against Tyler today. Took it down to the speed round. You said earlier that the speed round against Nazario has haunted you, and but you won it this time. How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, he mentioned to me after that, he's like, I never go first because you don't get to counter you don't get to have the last argument, and he believes that that's what won him in that case. Mad Max also part of that too. Hilarious, keeps coming up, never dies. I think it's come up in another one of my matches. Isn't that beautiful? No, I think I felt confident after the first debate, and then the second debate happened, and I felt really confident. but I didn't win the point. I was like, well, I think if I didn't win that point, I think we're gonna go to a speed round, because I felt pretty good about these other arguments, but you just never can tell. And the Twister answer is probably the right answer. Like I said, I think people who usually watch Twister think of the one in the movie theater, because so much stuff happens in that one. But Tyler painted a good picture and countered me really well. And honestly, I thought he did a pretty well speed round considering the category was against him. I thought I was going to lose it. Honestly, I just like, I haven't really watched Pursuit of Happiness like ever. I've watched pieces of it. I just haven't sat down and watched it. But I've done speed rounds before. I think that just helped me, the experience, and happy to be moving on, of course.
All right, so you're going to be playing the winner of either Alex Martinez or Jack Pinchuk. Now, I like Alex Martinez. Nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good soul.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Jack Pinchuk.
Yeah.
Don't like him. Bad soul. Shitty internet. Your thoughts?
The shittiest internet I know, full hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus. I don't know if that.
No.
This might have aired in time.
Okay.
I don't know. We won't say why, but go on.
I've played him a bunch, and it's always weird.
Yeah.
Including he was my first debate, and I smacked the poop out of him. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's right.
We did the Lord of the Rings worst roommate, and I picked the demon spider.
Did you pick Shelob or did he?
I did. I picked.
Oh, that's so funny. I forgot about that.
So I would love a chance to smack Jack back into the earth. That would be fun. But I think a debate against Alex would be a good time. And I haven't got a chance to debate him, so that would be cool. But if we just want to do Jack Pinchuk whack-a-mole, I mean, line him up. We'll fucking knock him down.
If Jack's playing, I maybe shouldn't be there. But Robert, congrats on a win and a match really well played. Fantastic job. We'll see you in the number one contenders match. Let's get final thoughts, starting with Mr. Cody Newberry.
Yeah, I think it was a good fight. Again, a lot will be edited out, but Tyler couldn't have gotten a worse speed round for himself. But to be champion in the league, you're going to have to be versed in basically everything, or at least be able to bullshit your way through everything. And that's just the style of it. And he honestly, again, I said this, to do Oppenheimer versus Pursuit of Happiness, we went off screen and my face was like, what? Like I was, huh? Like, no offense, but I was like, Wolf of Wall Street's there. Like, there's something there.
Wolf
maybe.
of Wall Street was the big one. I was shocked didn't get picked. But.
Yeah. So the problem is, like, with Tyler having to be so tuned into like fandom at times, it's hard to like even enjoy. Like, if you want to be a top in that league, to enjoy like other movies, because if you take more than enough time off, you're dropping. But that being said, I think Robert played really well. The only thing I would tell Robert, like, again, I think Jack or Alex, whoever he beats is, I think either one. I think they have weaknesses. Yeah, sorry, I just don't see it. Again, I will judge fairly. If I'm on the best, I will judge that fairly. But I've played Robert. I would destroy Alex or Jack in any debate in my life. No offense to either one. But I think what Robert needs to do is go for the jugular. He lets off a little bit too much when he can just twist the knife in. So that's my only strategy moving forward, because the person that is holding the belt already has that knife planted in your back before the debate has started. So you better go for the jugular if you got the shot.
That's fair. And by the way, biopics coming to Fandom next season. Mark, your final thoughts.
He's undefeated now. Here comes.
Yeah, that was fun. Cody turned into Jason's mother. Just telling old Robert, Jason, to kill. It's fun.
Kill for me. I couldn't get it done.
Oh my god, that's funny.
I'm the shrine. I'm the headless shrine now.
Yeah. This was good. And I think it's fun to see Tyler back in. I think it sucks when that happens at speed round. You just kind of get something. You just kind of fight your way through it, and a minute and 15 seconds goes by real quick. but Robert came here to play. Would also like to note that if one of you had just had your hat turned around or hat turned back, you guys would look exactly the same. Like, it was bugging me the whole fight. So there you go.
That's fair. That's fair. Great job to both players. I think Mark hit it on the head. We see a lot of matches in this league that are not great. We see a lot of fantastic matches. This was just a really good match. We had some miss-ups. We had some really fantastic fights. On the whole, really great job, guys. Thank you for doing it, Tyler and Robert. Thank you to Cody and Mark for judging. I have been Tim. Thank you to Brian and Kirk behind the scenes, helping out with questions and other judging stuff. That's it. I already said I am Tim. We'll see you guys next time with another great debate. Peace out. Bye.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.